And I don't even know if Chris knew what was going on, because Chris is just so blissed out, just almost drooling here. And, you know, she's rubbing my legs. And it was a very, very bizarre scene, to say the least, for my girlfriend to walk in on. Hello, just a very, very quick warning before we jump headfirst into today's video. The following has been created for safety and harm reduction. Now, to the untrained eye, it may not necessarily look like these types of videos can keep people safe, as they are just dramatic retellings of past crazy and usually reckless, unadvisably recreated drug experiences. However, if you listen carefully, you will notice that sprinkled throughout it are little tidbits of safety information that I am secretly programming the viewer's mind with using the powers of dark hypnosis. Oh baby, you watch out, you're getting hypnotized by watching this to be safe with your drug use. Ultimately, I just want everyone to be safe with their drug use. And what I found by using simple logic is that people are more likely to listen and learn to be safe if they are also entertained at the same time. So I do hope you guys all enjoy this absolutely crazy story, which I'm struggling to twist into being some kind of an educational video. Yeah.
According to YouTube's guidelines shown here, videos which intend to educate are documentary by nature and do not glorify the use of drugs. Both abide by the community safety guidelines and are eligible for monetization. The following video does not glorify the use of drugs. Instead, it attempts to be non-biased while delivering vital life-saving information disguised as entertainment.
This is one of those stories, actually, of an unexpected candy flip, meaning all we intended to do was take MDMA. Due to just overwhelmingly pleasant feelings, we were led on acid's doorstep. We didn't just knock, we ate the door. Now, my metaphors are making absolutely no sense because LSD is made of cardboard, so unless the door was made of cardboard, we didn't eat the door. It's gonna stop. I think it's best for everybody if I just stop. Now, the story takes place when I was living abroad in New Zealand, as most of my crazy stories do take place. This was some years ago, and the characters involved were myself, my friend Chris, and his almost wife at the time, wife now. Just to make it easy, we'll call her his wife, and her name was Anna. Now, I didn't realize I lived in MDMA. I didn't realize while I lived in New Zealand how rare it is on that little island to get potent, pure MDMA. Not only was good MDMA hard to find, but it was often something weird like BZP, only in New Zealand, man. And Chris had never actually tried confirmed pure MDMA in his life. So when I finally did test and come in contact with some potent shit, he was the first person that I called. We made a drug-taking appointment together. I wanted to set the stage and make it as elegant as possible for them. It was a Friday night. I was done work. Actually, my girlfriend was at work, so it was just gonna be the three of us. Otherwise, she would have been home. Well, I prepared a wine glass, and these are just empty capsules, just to give you an example. And I wanted to be like the first thing they saw coming in. Hey guys, we're sophisticated. Instead of drinking wine, we're drinking capsules. Now, I'm missing a few here because I keep dropping them, but I had a total of 6 capsules. I had 3, which were each measured to everyone's body weight, and I asked them what dose they preferred before arriving because I was going to be prepared. And then I had us another 3 capsules, which was our booster dose that we had to take in order to allow the experience to continue in a blissful direction, hopefully for longer. And the booster dose is usually a little less than half the first dose. So if my first dose was, say, 150, then my booster dose would probably be 60 or 70 milligrams, and no more than that. So anyway, they arrived. I presented them the chalice of drugs. We were all looking at it like, oh, glorious MDMA. And we each proceeded to take our capsule. But of course, before we did consume the MDMA, I tested everything with the Marquise reagent, with the Mech reagent, with the Mandolin reagent, and possibly even an MDMA purity kit. If you guys do intend on consuming MDMA or LSD, you must test your drugs to ensure that you don't die. You can follow the link below to pick up your very own test kit today. Now, I remember this come up very clearly because I was really into this David Guetta song at the time called Bad, and shuffling was really big at this time. I don't even know if that's still a thing with all you kiddos out there who shouldn't be watching these videos but are. And they were teaching me how to shuffle. And so, you know, we're coming up, we got this song blasting, you know, just trying to enjoy it, and here I am, we're all just like, I can't dance for the life of me. And I remember as it's coming on, I started to imagine that my shuffling was getting better, but really it was probably getting worse. I was probably starting to do this. And they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Adam, you're doing great. Yeah, look at you can do the shuffle now. And here I'm just We're all just dancing like absolute lunatics. And as with most MDMA come-ups, the first thing to come up, or come out rather, was my shit. So I had to run to the bathroom as my stomach started to turn and immediately filled with this weird nauseous feeling. You actually don't really know if you want to puke or shit, but when you do sit down and open up those floodgate doors, meaning your anal sphincter, and just let it launch turds, once you let those go, you feel fucking great. I felt awesome. In fact, I think I spent a good 40 minutes shitting. If you were to like do a freeze frame of me entering the bathroom feeling sick, cut the scene there, and then replay it as I'm leaving the door, it would have looked like, oh my god, I feel like shit. And then all of a sudden some dude opens the door. Oh my god, I'm so fucking high! Man, yeah, Chris and his wife Anna, who oddly was religious, more on that soon, they were feeling it, man. We soon transitioned from dancing to touching. Not each other, not at this point, but just, it really enhances feeling. It's touching my shirt, they were touching their shirts, you touch each other's arms, you get on all your hands and knees, like on all fours, and you're rubbing the carpet like this. Then the jaw grinning starts, where it looks like this, bruxism. So you really just look like a fucking beast. You're like, yeah, it's not a good sight. You look absolutely methed or cracked out, man. You wouldn't want any potential employer to see you like that, let me tell you. Or your family. Yeah. You don't feel it though. They've done studies and they found that when you're on MDMA, you're more likely to misjudge people's facial expressions as positive, even if they're like angry. Well, in normal society, people see this face and they're like, is he gonna be okay? Does he need some help? Should we call an ambulance for him or like get him a fucking straitjacket? Well, and normal people might think that. When you're on AM, all your buddies are like, oh, look at Adam. Oh man, look, he's really loving his shit. Like he's having a fucking blast. Oh, I want to be having as much fun as Adam. Meanwhile, Adam looks like this. All right, I'm kidding. I'm having too much fun with this. So Anna was an anomaly to me, his wife. Here's a person extremely religious that has one of those almost scary, it was scary, homes where you walk in and there's just these shrines of like Jesus on the cross, and they've got crosses on the walls, religious saint pictures of their whole family, and they're all like smiling, holding crosses. I'm making her sound crazy. She kind of was, but it wasn't that bad. She was like a devout Christian. So her and I had lots of arguments where I would be like, isn't it kind of against your religion to be doing drugs? She was so prim and proper and she had such elegant answers for this. She'd be like, oh, no, actually, this is all part of my experience. This is part of my journey. I must learn how to get through the drug phase on my own, and this is God's plan for me. And once I'm done exploring these drugs, I will reach the gates of heaven with ease. Saint Christopher, or the guy at the gates, will just open them. I don't know shit about Christianity, man. I'm sorry. Saint Christopher, Saint Peterson. I don't mean to offend anyone. I apologize. But yeah. It's kind of what she was like. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, if that's how you rationalize doing drugs to yourself, then great. All the more power to you. At least you're here, not judging us and having a blast with us. Yay! Not long after that, we found ourselves in my bathroom. Now, where I lived at the time, more on that shortly, was this beautiful little cottage perched up on a hill. You had to walk, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 feet up this little windy driveway to get to the very top. And then there was our little, what did they call it? A chalet? I can't speak today. And then there was the main like house over there that we were renting from, up even higher on the hill. So we were in the chalet, Swiss chalet, which was a very tiny cottage. But the bathroom was phenomenal. In the bathroom, you had this really big spa bath with these huge windows that you could open up. They shot Lord of the Rings there. You feel like you're in a damn fairy tale. So you can imagine that when you're tripping or on anything and you're just sitting in this bath, gazing out this window at these very bizarre looking plants that are like coming alive and almost turning into like little elves and fairies before your eyes. Well, man, it is breathtaking. If you can't tell, I miss it. So of course, we're all having such a good experience enjoying touching shit, and also sight looks great on MDMA because it's like everything you're seeing is for the first time again. So it's blissful, right? So I was like, you know what would be great? We should go in the bath. So I led them all into the bath, filled it up, and lo and behold, all three of us, without even thinking twice about it, jumped in this bath together. Now, this is when things definitely got a little strange because I'm pretty sure I was sitting in the middle, being the shortest, and we had Anna like facing me, and then behind me was Chris, so I'm like sitting in his lap, and we're all just blissed out, feeling this hot water as it tickles across our skin, and I just remember sitting there like, it's almost like you're just orgasming from the feeling, the sensation of water alone. And now I've got some kind of hairy legs. I mean, you be the judge. I think I've got no flexibility. I think they're hairy. So I had my legs around his wife, and she's just like, never forget this. She just keeps like rubbing my legs up and down because apparently the hairiness felt good on her skin. And she's just sitting there like, oh, I don't even know whose legs these are, but it feels so good just to rub them. You guys don't mind? Do you guys mind? And I'm just like thinking, it feels absolutely phenomenal right now having my legs touched. Thinking, shit, I hope Chris doesn't care. And I don't even know if Chris knew what was going on because Chris is just so blissed out, just almost drooling here. And, she's rubbing my legs. And it was a very, very bizarre scene, to say the least, for my girlfriend to walk in on. I remember this very vividly. So we're all in there, getting my hairy legs rubbed, and then we hear the door open and someone say, hello, hi, like, you guys here? Because it's a pretty small place, and she's expecting us to be in the living room, not in the bathroom together. And I'll never forget this feeling. We all just stopped, like we froze dead in our tracks, and it was that sensation as if like an adult had just caught you masturbating or watching porn, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? Is this okay? Am I gonna be judged for this? It was so weird. And Anna looks at me and she's like, oh no, should we get up? And I'm like, no, we're fine. Don't worry, she'll be okay. Because in that state, of course, you think everything's gonna be okay. And I remember girlfriend walks in, she looks at us in a bit of shock. She's like, hi guys, I see your experience is going well. And we're just like, yeah. We felt very weird. We definitely felt like, yeah, we were being judged for being super touchy. We quickly hopped out of the tub, threw our clothes on, and decided that venturing out of the bathroom was going to be a terrible idea because it was freezing in the house. MDMA can make it feel as though any slight inclining of cold is too much for you to handle, especially getting out of the bath when, you're already cold from the water being on your skin. Your own house can feel like a fucking blizzard. Yeah, it's a really weird sensation. You feel like you just can't take it. So that's why people often wrap themselves in blankets when they're tripping on M. So we didn't leave the bath. And I remember we just all sat down. I'm one person sitting against the toilet, next person's on the wall, the other's against the bath. We're just like sprawled out. The M was definitely starting to waver in its potency at this point. And I had the bright idea that we should all take a tab. Of course, they agreed, ran upstairs, grabbed my grammar goblins, ran downstairs. But instead of just one, I was like, you know what? We're feeling so good. We should take two. I remember Anna, she initially rejected this idea. She's like, oh, no, I'll have one, please. And then Chris is like, well, Anna, if we're having two, you should have two, because then we're all on the same level. And, I think we'll be good. She didn't really even think about it. She's just like, okay, yes, I'll have two, please. So prim and proper. So we each took two tabs. I remember sitting there. Tabs were coming on. The transition was very smooth. I don't even think I remember feeling the acid. Just next thing I know, I'm looking at the bathroom tiles and they're raising. But it almost looks like a hologram version of them raises. It's got this like breathy whoosh, like the ground is live. The ceiling of the cabin was all wood grain, and of course wood grain looks phenomenal. So I'm just watching the wood crawl along and flow, just a little stream. Effects are coming on kind of strong, and I started thinking, okay, I'm actually feeling kind of tired. So I bid them farewell. I said, it was fun, guys. You can take the spare room. I'm going to go upstairs and go to sleep with my girlfriend. And I went upstairs and I kind of hassled her about, why don't you take a tab? I mean, it's obviously too late for you to take M with us, but you could take a tab. You could enjoy this with me. We could touch our heads to each other and transcend into each other's mind and explore some crazy-ass adventures. And she declined. She said she was tired. But little did I know, actually, she took a tab. Around the same time I grabbed them for everyone else, she grabbed one for herself, so she was secretly tripping. Now, I wish there was more to this story, except I pretty much just laid down, looked at my ceiling, and it was a pretty high, ceiling, like one of those triangle ceilings made of wood, and I'm just laying there just watching the patterns, and I felt absolutely effing exhausted. This is a great story of how these experiences don't always follow the same train, like the same tracks, because I just fell asleep. Sometimes MDMA for me can be very taxing on my body, and it can knock me out. And I think that's what happened. I think even the 2 tabs of acid wasn't enough to keep me awake. So I went to bed, and then girlfriend went to bed tripping. I wish there was more to this story. This is pretty pathetic, guys. There I am trying to make this candy flipping video. I should have this epic story of candy flipping, and yet it's more like a story of taking MDMA and the acid experience not really turning out how you would expect, which I think is a good harm reduction story, because these experiences rarely do happen how you would expect or how you want them to go down. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. We had some weird dreams, woke up, had a good laugh of her telling me she tripped too, and I didn't even know it. And that was that. Actually, didn't even have much of a come down from this one. I mean, I felt a little low the next day, but that was about all. That's it. Weird story of touching my married friends in the bathtub. And sometimes I make these videos and I'm like, shouldn't there be a point to these stories? Besides it just being like a story of some weird drug experience? And you know what? Fuck it. No.